What's the crack, everyone, and welcome back to more creepy TikToks. Let's see what kind of rabbit holes we can fall into today, but before we do, smash that like button and subscribe button, and let's dive in.
What the No, literally.
Wait.
What the is
Babe,
going
stop
on?
cussing. Wait, she's not moving at all.
That's what I'm saying. What is going on here?
What is she looking at?
What is she doing?
That's actually really
That's
concerning.
very creepy. I don't know what's going on here. You know, I've seen a lot of TikToks with like glitches in the Matrix, but this got to be top dog for me.
Oh my god.
Like, no, seriously, this is a glitch. Like, no one is standing that perfect with their legs crossed. I'm just being
Look at this guy.
I want to see if he see. Look at him. No. Is no one noticing this? Look, is no one seeing this? What is going on? Look, even
That's
looking.
crazy.
No, she's looking. Look. Oh.
What?
To stay in that position for so long and not move would be very difficult, but do you ever wonder why your day goes really, really quick? It's not that the day is going really quick, it's just the fact that you're glitching out.
The following footage is from a man named Alec, and he thinks he captures a time traveler on his security camera and go as far as to call the police out to his property. Take a look and listen to what he has to say. Tell me what you think.
This dude's coming onto my property to what looks like rob my house, but it actually turns out he is a time traveler. And let me show you that. I literally can't even make this up. Like, if I wanted to make this up, it blows my mind. This just happened yesterday. So as you can see, he's wandering around my backyard. I don't know what he's trying to do. Now he's like thinking like where to go, and he actually ends up going into my shed. So you can see he opens it, goes into the shed. So I'm fast forwarding the time so you can see there's no movement. He never leaves the shed. And I'm talking on the camera. I'm like, yo, what are you doing? Why are you in my shed? Never answers. He never leaves the shed. I literally was watching it the whole time. So I end up calling the police. You could see in the last one, the police coming through the front yard. And then here's the police coming into the backyard. And you can see they literally go inside. They go inside and I'm talking to them. Then they go inside again. Like they're inside there. And they come out and he's not there. And like I've been watching this backdoor camera the whole entire time and he never left.
That guy was walking like he needed to do a number 2 so bad, and he probably did do a number 2, and that's why he didn't come out of the shed, because he just blew himself off into another dimension. That looks super sus. I mean, it looks like bodies to me. It's probably not, but you can't tell me that doesn't look like bodies.
Interview with David Icke 10 years ago.
An obsession with ritual. So, when you look at all the pomp and ceremony of the royal family, you know, with Buckingham Palace and all this stuff, and all the ceremonies and the guards and the horses and the colours, you're looking at ritual. What they would do, among many other things, you'd have them in their robes and hoods all around here, and you probably have, or you would have the sacrifice on the slab here. This is their altar, yeah. And what they're doing, it's horrible, but let's get the truth out. What they're doing is manipulating the sacrifice. The sacrifice knows the sacrifice is coming, and who's going to help them? Look, right. At midnight or something. No one. And what they then do is they sacrifice the victim, and they drink the blood immediately, which has this chemical substance in it, and they go crazy. I mean, you know, I've talked to people who've been at these rituals, and how once the sacrifice happens and the blood runs, these people go crazy with blood.
I think we all know that this is probably David Icke's way of kindly referring to Eddie and how it starts, and we all know that they love the adrenaline before it gets done, you know.
Just made meat from your number two. Japanese scientists have developed a method to create edible steaks from human feces. Unbelievable? Well, it's happening. Mitsuyuki Aikida, a researcher at the Okayama laboratory, collaborated with Tokyo Sewage to address sewage mud excess. They discovered the content in the mud contains high protein due to bacteria. So, the team isolated and combined these proteins with a reaction enhancer. Result? Synthetic steak. The meat comprises of 63% protein, 25% carbs, 3% lipids, and 9% minerals. And it's visually enhanced with food coloring for a red hue and improved flavor using soy protein.
That is absolute rank high, no harm to you. But, you know, it's all about that protein. It's got good high protein, like, you know.
Always monkey face and hold it up.
Imagine if this guy recorded the whole cave-in and then went to turn around and realized that he was at a dead end. Good luck, bye.
Watch this video before it's removed from the internet.
I'm gonna play a recording of people chanting, "That is embarrassing," 4 times. After the 4th time, write down what you hear. Interesting. Almost everyone here heard that is embarrassing. Listen again and watch the screen. You heard the same thing every single time. Our eyes and ears take in electrical signals which our brains interpret based on our expectations. We don't see reality. We see our reality.
That is actually pretty cool, but it also shows us just how easily deceived and manipulated that us as a human species can be.
You can see Neil Armstrong taking that historic first step and becoming the first man to walk on the moon. Yes, Timmy?
Who shot that?
What?
Who shot that footage?
What do you mean?
Well, if Neil Armstrong was the first man on the moon, then who's holding the camera?
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Well,
Who's out there with the camera?
No, I know what you're asking. I'm just...
Very fine grained as you get close to it. It's almost like a powder.
Could have been like a tripod or... No, that's not...
This is a perfect demonstration in the effectiveness and importance of asking questions. You know, whether you're at class or whether it's just your life in general, it's always important to ask questions. The day that a teacher is getting taught by you, that's the day that you need to stick with your critical thinking and throw out textbooks. And we should also apply this to our life in general, like when we see news or when we hear of other things or see things, etc.
Police in Brazil have detained a woman suspected of wheeling a dead man, who she said was her uncle, to a bank to withdraw a 4-figure loan. Footage of the woman's encounter with the bank has sparked a nationwide discussion in Brazil after going viral on social media. It appears to show the woman at the counter of a Rio de Janeiro branch of Itaú bank, propping up the head of an elderly man in a wheelchair and trying to get his hand to clasp a pen. According to police, she was attempting to take out a loan equivalent to $3,000, which had already been approved by the bank but still needed the elderly man's sign-off. But the elderly man in the video, filmed by a bank attendant, remains unresponsive. His arm is limp and his head keeps falling back as she talks to him. Uncle, are you listening? She asks him. You need to sign. If you don't sign, there's no way. I can't sign for you. It has to be you. What I can do, I do. Sign it so you don't give me any more headaches.
She is not right in the head. I mean, what person, takes a family member, puts them onto a wheelchair, knows that they have been on life for 3 hours, then takes them to a bank and expects to take money out and talking to him as if he's alive, whilst also wearing a handbag that says live, love? She's not right in the head, hey.
Battery packs in the human body. On one side, it's how many electrons are we putting in? And there are a lot of electron donors. Electron donors can be getting out in the sun, can be walking barefoot in the grass. It could be leaning up your body up against a tree because the tree has electrons and will donate them to you. Hugging an animal, a common way that makes people in nursing homes feel better is to buy them a dog or a cat. They hold the dog or the cat and get electrons from it. The animal runs outside and recharges itself and brings some back to you. Moving water is an electron donor, whereas still water tends to be an electron stealer. Moving air is an electron stealer. That's why when you ride in a convertible, you look really cool, but you're always tired when you get there because the wind steals electrons from you. On one hand, we look at what things can put electrons in the body and then what things steal them. And again, the most common stealers are dental infections, emotional baggage, various toxins, particularly the toxins that we are getting from things like GMO foods and pesticides and other kinds of things, air pollution. There's a lot of toxins around us. And of course, one can almost include in the concept emotional baggage. They're toxins in a different way in that they rob us of voltage that we should be using for something else.
I guess the hippies back in the 70s were onto something after all. I mean, after watching that clip, even I'm considering about hugging trees,
Aleister Crowley, a very famous occultist who practiced ritual magic, he conducted a ritual that's called the Amalantra working, and he made contact with an alien named Lamb. This alien entity that he drew out was the first gray alien that was ever depicted. This magic ritual, it goes all the way back to the Book of Enoch. There were these fallen angels, they're called the Watchers, and the Watchers came and they taught man how to use magic, and these entities taught them the Enochian language. Crowley said, okay, well, let's talk to these entities using that Enochian language, and he did that many times. For decades and decades, the government had this internal Pentagon group that said, hey, all this alien activity could be demonic in some way. Pump the brakes on trying to summon these things because there could be some unintended consequences.
I have no doubt in my mind that aliens are demons, 100%. And as for Aleister Crowley, he was one evil man. I mean, the stories that you would hear about the rituals that took place in his house in Scotland before it got burnt down is like really disturbing. I don't know about you guys, but for me, the lack of oxygen and the build-up of heat and that place being my tombstone would send me into a panic attack. And honestly, if I got out of it, I would probably just buy and wear nappies for the rest of my life.
If you're into true crime and you haven't heard of this guy yet, get ready to be disturbed. This man's name is Joe Matheny. One day in the early 90s, he arrived home to find his wife and child had left him. This would send him into a downward spiral that he would never escape. But not even his mother could fathom what he was capable of doing. Not only did he end up murdering several victims on the streets of Baltimore, but when he was finally caught and arrested, he made a claim during his trial that would cripple the judge and jury with disgust and disbelief. He actually claimed to have fed the victims' bodies to unsuspecting customers at his open pit burger stand in South Baltimore. He said he ground up the meatiest parts of their remains and combined it with pork and beef so nobody would suspect anything. And thousands of people who frequented the streets of Baltimore would soon hear the news that they, or possibly somebody that they knew, had potentially been consuming human remains in their lunch for who knows how long. According to Matheny, the burgers were quite good, especially because the pork masked the stench and taste of human remains.
That photo alone would tell us what kind of frame of mind that man was in, and I do think I've seen a documentary about this a few years ago, but if I'm not mistaken, it was on a farm, and he put people on hooks and then grinded them into like hot dogs and burgers, and then he would hold like a barbecue for the community, and then the whole community would just get together and just chow down on it.
Prison systems. You have prison systems that are capitalizing on people going to prison. If you're in a society, your main goal in that society should be to have as few people in prison as possible. To have as few people in prison as possible. Not have the most people in prison. America has the most people locked up per capita in the world. The land of the free is locked up. We're locked up, man. Come on. What are we doing? The goal should be rehabilitation. And for those who can't be rehabilitated, they have a permanent home. I'm okay with that. They have a permanent home behind bars. However, our goal shouldn't be forcing people into prisons for the almighty dollar. Now that is evil. And what do we have? We have hundreds of private prisons all throughout the Americas. And those private prisons are making billions of dollars. That should be illegal.
You can thank Nixon for that one, because once he went through that war on drugs baloney, prisons were at full capacity. I said nowadays, take the inmates out, let them go back home and replace them with the real criminals who are in ties and lock them up.
Gold. That to me is gold. I'm driving through Rockdale, driving my Uber, just finished praying just minutes ago.
I'm like yourselves, guys. I hate chemtrails, but if that message was done using chemtrails, then I'm fine with that. Like.
Das hört.
Es hat noch ein Telefon, hier gemütlich in der Tüte geladen und jeder Partner kann mir aus dem Spiel. Was wird schön, oder schön? Oh, also so sitzt man dann wahrscheinlich hier da, genießt sein Essen und blickt die schöne Tüte. Hast du das wieder komplett gespielt mit Kocher? Schön den Jenga-Turm hier gebaut. Da kriegt man aber direkt losfahren, ein kleines Knochenruppel. Alter, ein Stil. Da sind sogar noch die Zähne drinnen. Boah, nicht noch so fett. Den gleich wieder angebrochen. Aber das ist schon irgendwie boah, das sieht real aus. Der König. Jetzt hier auch mal Platz am Stuhl des Todes, aber bloß keine Geweih. Wir sind da recht bauen. Boah, das ist echt
This is like Australia's version of the catacombs in Paris, minus the chair. That chair looks like it came straight out of something like Game of Thrones.
This video is going super viral. This couple goes to Costco in Canada, and well, let's just say the price of those chicken wings is over $200. Tell me what you think of this in the comments, guys.
For anyone thinking of moving to Canada, our food prices are outrageous. Here we have a pack of drumsticks from Costco, $202 for this pack, or $224 for this one. Moral of the story, don't move here.
$202. I mean, you go to the grocery store now and you spend over $200 for groceries, man. But just for chicken wings, $200? I want to know what you guys think. Would you buy that if you were super hungry? On a side note, I mean, they do look well seasoned and they do look well put together. But I don't know, man. I don't know if I would spend that kind of money.
Surely you guys can't be paying that price for some chicken drumsticks. That's a ripoff.
Mom, can I have a cigarette? No, you're 5. Can I have a beer? No, you're 5. Can I drive the car home? No, you're 5. Can I take hormones and change my sex? Sure, you know best.
You see, if my 5-year-old girl said that to me, do you know what I would do? I wouldn't give her a cigarette. I would give her a box of cigarettes. And I wouldn't give her a beer. I'd give her 12 rounds of beers. And I wouldn't let her drive. I would let her drive drunk, because any of that is better than letting your child choose to change their sex.
It was a study that was done in the 1960s, and it was commissioned by NASA because they wanted to know how to hire more geniuses. So they hired George Land and his team to go out and figure out what makes a genius. So they started with a group of 5-year-olds, and they gave them a creativity test. The way they defined genius was, how do you use your creative imagination to solve problems? And what they found was, of this group of 5-year-olds, 98% qualified as geniuses. Then they came back 5 years later when this group was 10 years old, and it was down to 30%. 5 years later at 15, it was down to 12%. And then I think they just kind of gave up in disgust. But George Land took it further and went out and surveyed adults and found that only 2% of adults. He attributed this to school, 100% to school, that you would take a population, 98% genius, and dumb them down to 2%. He said uncreative behavior and thinking was learned.
You know, when you go to school, you don't go to school to be taught, you go to school to be indoctrinated. And once you're under that doctrine, you know, what they say goes. Your critical thinking's out the window. You just sit there, you obey everything they say, and just take in everything from the books like gospel.
Y'all, I have never been a date setter, and I have never set a date, and I've never believed in any date anyone set thus far. But this is really weird, let me explain. The last few days, I have been seeing things and feeling things about California. Before we get into the earthquake that was just in Los Angeles. Yes, Los Angeles. I saw this video 2 days ago. Listen to what he says. Let me say right at the bat, this is all speculation. I'm just telling you guys what I see. Not saying it's fact, true, or anything.
You know what's going on in California right now?
Nah, what's going on?
Man, they finna have an earthquake that's gonna separate the San Andreas spot, bro. That's why I'm telling everybody evacuate California right now.
No, we cannot lose all them people in California.
We can't lose all them people in California.
Isn't that weird? And Ryan Garcia had said on the 6th of June, right? Remember that.
Telling everybody, man, evacuate California right now before the San Andreas split.
Y'all can't tell me this video wasn't really eerie. I was not down with the April 8th thing. I wasn't down with the 3 days darkness or rapture thing before that. But this video was weird. And remember what Ryan Garcia said about the 6th. Why have multiple Airbnb hosts reported that they sent them an email talking about restricted travel after June the 6th? All different states all over the country. But I feel really weird about this. So this is a real email sent by Airbnb to a whole bunch of hosts saying that the reviewed major disruption event policy has been updated. And it starts June 6, 2024, just like Ryan Garcia said. I was already going to make a video on this today, and then I see this right before I make the freaking video. I'm not a date setter, but I will tell you this. I'm going to be praying over this entire situation to see if something is coming. For those out there who don't believe in prayers, don't be foolish. Watch my old videos and see how all my prayers were answered and things happened after I said they'd happen months later because God told me.
What's your thoughts on this one, guys? Do you think something's going to happen in LA? Like, do you think there's going to be a split and the dam's going to be opened up and it's going to cause absolute mayhem? And also, anyone who is near LA, do you guys all sense something about this as well?
Quite a harsh, quite a harsh sort of vibration, really. And I could feel lots of presences around me, and they seemed to have their hands on me, and I could smell a very distinctive smell. It smelled like dank. Lots of
Spit it out, woman. What are you trying to say?
My parents took this video from the top of the World Trade Center on the 9th of September 1.
coming across this clip and seeing the date 9901 and knowing what happened 2 days later is a little bit unsettling. Like that whole clip is like, there's like an eeriness to it, you know. And I've seen a comment there, someone pointed out that Michael Jackson was meant to attend a meeting in one of the towers on 9/11 and decided to sleep in, so I didn't even know that. That's all I have for you today, guys, but if you enjoyed the compilation, smash that like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell, as it may not show up in your next recommendation. But until the next video, guys, please look after yourselves, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you then.